sudden but inevitable betrayal. Oh, hey, hey, if anyone can tell me what movie that's from, we just wanted to have a little fun at the start of the video, and I was joking. I was like, I wish I had some dinosaurs, because I wanted to do that curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal quote. But this is the best I had, little army men. But if you can tell me, first person to comment and tell me what movie that's from, I'll probably give you 50% off some kind of product. I don't know, but I'll make you a good deal. So, all right, that's the intro beginning to our video. Hey, let's see if I can throw army men in 3D right past the camera. All right, okay, we should probably get serious. Hey, Mark, Centerline Systems. We're gonna shoot another little video here today. Have a little bit of fun. I've done this not too terribly long ago. We've talked about our line of folding saw pouches, but I kind of wanted to do it again. A little better lighting, just trying it all over again, and we'll maybe do this again come spring where we can actually get back outside. But that's what we're gonna talk about here is our line of folding saw pouches. I think, because we've had a lot of people asking about folding saws, or different saws, are the pouches we make. So I wanted to take this opportunity to show you why I think ours are kind of cool. And also, again, as I said in our last video, there's actually kind of a little story behind all this, which is you great guys and gals, because I wasn't going to make folding saws, right? Or a pouch for folding saws. And then I had been pestered. There's a different word for it, but I won't use it. But I had some really cool people constantly, hey, make a pouch, make a pouch. And then so one day I said, okay, well, if I'm gonna make a folding saw pouch, it has to have more functionality to it, right? It can't be just a pouch for a folding saw. So I think that is maybe just, again, another little plug for Centerline Systems. I'm trying to make gear that's multifunctional. It's got, the multi-operational capacity of the gear, right? So the functionality of the gear. So it's not just sitting in your closet and it's coming out to be used once, right? Once a year. So I'm trying to make gear that, hey, if I'm gonna carry a folding saw, in this case, I wanna be able to carry a folding saw, I wanna be able to carry a camp axe, or I wanna be able to use it in multiple configurations or carry it in multiple configurations. And on that note, I'm gonna address some customer requests and I'm gonna say why we're not doing it. And then just maybe give you a stupid little way to overcome the question. So without further ado, let's get into our line of folding saws. Let me put my eyeballs on. All right, so here's our standard folding saw pouch, and everybody's familiar with the silky gombo or the silky F180s or the Bucksaw Laplanders, and that's what this pouch is designed around. Right, it's designed around your smaller, basic folding saw. And I'm not going to lie, when the first group of customers were asking me to make a folding saw pouch a couple years ago, I had this Bucksaw. I'm a big ardent bow hunter, and I had a little bit more time on my hands, and I was actually able to get out and do a lot more bow hunting than I am right now. Thank you very little. Didn't even get out again last year. But anyways, getting out. And I shoot very rustic shooting lanes, right? So my shooting lanes, I'm literally just trimming out minimal things. I'm not making these big, wide shooting lanes that you can drive a car or an ATV down. Very rustic. And so all I used to carry was this Bucksaw, and I would just throw it in my rucksack. And then so, again, as I said, a bunch of you great guys and gals reached out and said, hey, I really want a folding saw pouch. You should make it. The Mother Canteen carrier is really cool. I bet you could come up with something really neat. So that's what I decided to do. And there's times where I'm out, whether I'm out grouse hunting or hiking or bow hunting, I'll actually be walking through my trails and I'll oh, there's a branch that, come next winter or whatever when there's snow on the ground or is going to be out of the way. So, sometimes it's easy to break off, but other times it's nicer and more convenient to cut off because you can use that branch for some camouflage later, around your bow stand or something of that nature. But I guess on that note, what I wanted to do is I didn't want to just have a pouch for just a folding saw because truth be told, there's times where you might want to bring a small hand axe or a camp axe out there with you. So I think I'll just kind of jump into it right there. So in our folding saw pouch, that's what we call it. And I might actually have to rename these this year because I think there has to be a better scheme. But our standard folding saw pouch. So Up in the front, you've got an excess of webbing, and you've got a side release, buckle from ITW Nexus, best buckles out there. And the reason this is extra long is because, not all these saws are created equal. Some are longer than others. And I'm not gonna lie, and please do keep reaching out and asking me, but I don't know every saw that's out there. I don't, right? I don't know how I can. But that gives you some extra room so that the retention strap can fold up, and now you could actually have a much longer item in there. Mighty Mouse, you got that?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's actually be able to zoom in on that. And so, but maybe you're not putting a folding saw in here, maybe you're putting some other type of object in here. And so there's a bunch of really cool pictures on Instagram where, some guys and gals were just using this for like a condiment kit, and throwing all kinds of ketchup and mustard or hot sauce and things like that. So again, it's designed around this standard Bucksaw F180 size folding saw, right? But anything that's of that length, and there's expansion inside of here, right? So that's 3 fingers. All right, so you can get a lot of different type of gear in here, and then you've got the expansion in the retention flap itself, so you can get an even longer piece of gear in there. And then the other thing that I really like, is on, with all of our products, on the back, we're doing a bunch of MOLLE. And the reason that we have this MOLLE on the back is so you can attach this product to the outside of a rucksack. You can loop the MOLLE around your belt. You could wear this on your waistline. You could put it on a rucksack. You could attach it to a quiver. And I don't have a quiver right here in front of me, but you get the point. So there's MOLLE on all the products on the back side, for exactly that reason. How do you want to carry it? I don't really know. Actually, I'll take this quite often, and I'll use the MOLLE on the back side, and I'll run it up here on my padded strap wrap, and I can just have it right up here in my padded strap wrap. Now, it's not going to bend with the pad, right? Because there's a Bucksaw saw inside there, but it's going to be right here, and then that way, if I need a saw, I can just unclick it, pull it right out, cut down a branch, put it right up here, snap it back in there. No harm, no foul, and it's out of out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. So this is our standard folding saw pouch right here. Again, I'm just 2 examples. This is the Silky F180. This is the Bucksaw Laplander. These are the basic sizes that will fit into the back of the standard folding saw pouch. Then I'm going to go to our mid-size pouch, which is the big boy folding saw pouch. I'll use this one as an example, but this applies to the standard folding saw pouch and the Bucksaw pouch. So on the back of the pouches, and another thing, so I actually should have mentioned this, they all can be worn. If you want to run your belt through the pouch, you can run your belt through the pouch, because on the back of the pouch, and maybe this is better with the larger folding saw pouch, you'll see there's a slit back there. Now that's for your camp axe. But you could also run your belt line through there, and then you could wear this in a scout configuration on your belt line. Now, with the big boy and the Bucksaw, I mean, that's a lot of, pouch on the back side of your body, but it could be done. But having this in the small of your back, running in a scout carry, just pretend this is your belt. Matter of fact, I'm going to come back to this because this is a good one, but pretend that was your belt. Now you could see that this guy's just on the small of your back running through your belt. And so here's a commonly asked question, so I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. I'll get people asking what size handle will fit in. All right, we had a little technical glitch there, so we're gonna just cut this, and Mighty Mouse will do her mighty magic, and we'll just kind of bring this back to where we left off. But yeah, audio crapped the bed, so hopefully we won't have that happen again. But what I was just talking about before we were so rudely interrupted was, now I was using this as just an example, and I was talking about the scout sleeve that's on all 3 products, and how if this, again, imagine this was your belt, you could just run your belt through, and it works on any one of the pouches now. But the point I was just trying to make was, obviously in the smaller folding saw pouch, if this, again, forget it's a camp axe, imagine it's a belt, and if this was in the small of your back, you can see that's a really easy size to have on the small of your back and carry around with you the rest of the day. Whereas having the big boy, you can still do the big boy in the small of your back, right? And it still has that same capability. Forget that this is an axe. Just imagine this was your belt coming through here, right? So you can see, this would be in the small of your back, right? It's just going to go from hip to hip and a little bit probably sticking out, depending on, how robust you are. But it can be done. But once you get over to the Bucksaw Pouch, yeah, probably not going to wear that in the small of your back. And then the axe sleeve is really just nothing more than the axe sleeve. But a couple things that came up during that conversation. So technical difficulties sometimes are positive. So one of the things I realized I wanted to kind of answer was a commonly asked question, which is, how large of a handle or how much, and this might not be the correct term, the swale or the curvature here, on the safety part of the pommel on your handle, how much of that will fit through the sleeve on the back. Now there's so many different axes out there. I don't know the answer to everything that's out there, right? These dimensions are these dimensions. There's some movable, and it can move. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So this is an H. Roselli. Now this is a very robust, very thick axe handle, right? It's meaty as hell, and it's got a pretty good little swale safety feature down there. And even with a saw inside of there, now I said earlier, it's easier if you do it without the saw inside there first, but you can see it'll slide in there all day long, especially once you get your product broken in a little bit. So it'll work. And then I wanted another example I wanted to use is, I'm pretty sure it's Fiskars. I apologize to the Fiskars company if I'm getting this wrong, or to anybody else. I'm not trying to mislead anyone. But Fiskars axes have a really pronounced, big kind of lip safety thing on the very end, right? So some of those type of handles may not fit, right? So here, can you just zoom in a little bit, just on the handle or on the back section there? Yep. So here we go. Now you can see the handle coming through, right? And you can see there's a little bit of resistance on the end right there, because that's a lot of extra handle, right? There's a lot of excess down there. Now, a lot of other axes, don't have any issues at all, because they just don't have that huge swale, and they're just a lot easier to fit in and out. So if you've got a question, but will my axe handle fit, or if there's any doubts from the pictures and the write-up on the website, just give me a call, as with everything, and we'll figure it out together, and we'll talk you through it. But again, this is an H. Roselli. It's pretty big and meaty. I know that Fiskars is a little bit more pronounced, but so if you got a question, just give me a call, and we'll figure it out, and we'll go from there. And then I think what we were kind of talking about before we kind of got broke up, with the little technical difficulty, was just going back over again to the big boy folding saw pouch. So again, you still have that sleeve on the back, right? So that's one of the functions of the folding saw pouch. All three versions have that sleeve on the back, so you can put a camp axe, or you can put another item. And I'm going to show you a couple other items here in a second, right? That's what it's designed for. And then you got the molly in the back, so you can attach it either to your belt line or to another product. But something I wanted to point out, which you have on the big boy and the Bucksaw, which you don't have on the folding saw pouch, is down here on the end is you have this little kind of retention sleeve right here, right? And that right there it's designed with purpose, right? So what I hate is I hate having an axe, and I've done this even with this machete, or correction, this tomahawk, is if I just run this through my belt line, it moves around like this, right? And then I have the potential to trip myself up from this. And I know it's maybe kind of getting a little crazy to say this, but think about this. You're a week deep in the Boundary Waters canoe area, or out west, or someplace where there's just not a lot of medical services and not a lot of service and support. A handle like this moving around could potentially trip you up. And then that fall that you then encounter, which could be avoided, could result in a broken arm, a broken wrist, a laceration, chipping a tooth, whatever the case is. And now you're into some type of medical emergency. So this is here intentionally. Now, another thing you could do with it is you could just attach a carabiner here and have a set of gloves. But its real focus and design is, so not only up here on the first part of the sleeve itself, that keeps the handle from moving around, but I just call this the kicker webbing. So what that does is, now imagine if you had a really long handled axe, you can see it won't move past the corners of the product itself. Now, over distance, that angle becomes a little bit more pronounced. So you can kind of see that's not going to go trending in all kinds of great directions. Thereby, it's going to prevent it from kind of getting in between your legs, tripping you up, causing potential medical emergency, which you, of course, don't want to have happen when you're way the hell out there in the middle of the woods. So that's another unique feature that we put on the Bucksaw and the big boy. You don't have it on the folding saw. I mean, you could still run this same camp axe or this tomahawk through the back of the folding saw pouch, the standard folding saw pouch, you know, and it's going to move around on you. I mean, because there's nothing that stops that. But I guess when I made this, I didn't envision somebody like carrying a super long camp axe with their folding saw. But if that's what you want to do, you can definitely do it. And you know, then you've got at least a small little folding saw plus your large camp axe for firewood processing. Then another last little point here is if you are wearing, well, I guess I'm envisioning that if you're wearing the big boy or the Bucksaw on your waistline, this is coming down your leg. Well, again, another thing, you don't want that flopping around. So we include a leg strap with every one of them, right? So that way you can wrap around your leg and then lock this in place. So the bottom, you know, here's your leg. Let's just imagine, here's your leg. This guy isn't, you know, flying all over the place. He's actually on your leg and you're able to contain it. So one less thing that could potentially, for me, it's more of an annoyance than anything, but it, you know, again, let's try to avoid medical emergencies when you're out in the middle of the woods, right? That would kind of suck. All right, so a leg strap. And if you're not using this leg strap, what could you do with it, boys and girls? Undo it, take it out of there, and then use it as a gear strap, and then roll up a jacket or something like that and keep it contained, right? So everything's got purpose and functionality, right? So, you know, try that. Then going into the front side of the pouch. So again, I think I mentioned this, so I'm not sure if I said this before, but saying it now. So obviously on the folding saw pouch, there's not enough surface area to put a bunch of MOLLE up on the front. But starting with the big boy and over to the Bucksaw, now we can get some webbing up on the front, and now that allows you the ability to, like, so you can see right here, I've just got a ferrule rod, you know, so I can actually use it, and I'll tell you a little story about that in a second. But you could mount any 2 MOLLE system pouch or 1 MOLLE system pouch. Heck, if you really wanted to, you could mount these 2 saw pouches together and then have a small, you know, a medium size and a smaller size folding saw. This doesn't even have to have a folding saw in here. Let's say you decide to put something else in here, mount it to the front of that, and now you just got that stacked carrying capacity. But that's what this is for right here, right? So you can put other items on the front. Could be one of the medical deployment pouches that we make for Black Scout Survival. I don't know if you'll find this, Mighty Mouse, but I do have some pictures on, I think it's on Instagram, where I actually did have my MDP, my medical pouch, on the front of this when I was out doing some firewood processing. Okay. So that might be worth looking into.
In the video here, if I can find it.
Yeah, okay. So that just gives you, again, I'm not just trying to sell, you know, one of the products we make, but doesn't it make sense if I'm going to be out working with any of these tools, which could potentially injure me, and I might be out in the woods, you know, a long distance, maybe no cell phone coverage, I might want to have some medical products with me, because again, it's all about self-recovery, right? You can sit there and complain like, where's search and rescue? Well, even if they knew you were out there and injured, it still might take them a day to get to you, so you better have the capability of taking care of yourself. And then last but not least, because I really want to talk about the saw, so as I think I may have mentioned, you know, hopefully we can get this in the edit, this is the big boy folding saw pouch. So, you know, again, based on a lot of, you know, feedback from you, you know, great guys and gals, you know, we started making the folding saw pouch for the Baco and the smaller Silky, excuse me, and then, you know, this is a very popular saw. And before I bought this, so, you know, like when I'm making a new product, I always want to buy 1 or 2 items that are going to work with it so I can field test it myself and I can make sure I get the dimensions right. And as I already explained, you know, for me as a, you know, a bow hunter and having these very rustic shooting lanes, you know, my Baco saw was all I ever had. And then I got this big boy to make sure we could make the big boy pouch. And I absolutely love this saw. I mean, literally between this and a camp axe, I mean, you could make your own frickin' village. So this product, it's not necessarily designed specifically around the Silky Big Boy, but that's what it will take, right? It's sized appropriately for the Silky Big Boy, and any other item of that size will fit in here easily. But if you haven't tried one of these things are just, they're just incredible. I mean, seriously, I really like the saw, this saw. And again, there's nothing wrong with any of the smaller saws. Everything's just a tool and it has its place. But if I had to pick, damn it, I just remembered we have to do the Carver video still too. This goes into the whole second half of Carver. And I was just gonna use Carver as an analogy. And I was just gonna say, if you had to pick, you know, sizes of saws and axes, like there's a system for that. And I already know, both in terms of the X factor, the emotional part, but also having used both of these things and, you know, extensively, how much different size, you know, logs or trees or branches that I can process with this, the energy it takes, the time it takes, you know, relative to the Baco or, you know, the smaller saws. And again, this makes a whole lot more sense when I'm doing something very rustic and I'm just carrying everything on my body when I'm going to one of my rustic shooting lanes if I'm bow hunting. But if I was, no joke, out zombie apocalypse and I could only carry one or the other, I probably would carry this thing. This guy eats through wood like there's no tomorrow. I absolutely love this big boy. All right, enough rambling. We're kind of rambling. And moving on to the last product and kind of wrapping up this video. But the last of the saw pouches that we have in our line, and I apologize, I should have probably taken everything out and then, kind of got this prep, but we're all creatures of habit, and I just actually kind of like looking at my arrows in here because, we'll do a little placeholder shot and you can see all the snow outside. So, I'm looking right over there. That's where my bow shooting station is outside, and like my picnic table, my fire pit, and there's like 3 feet of snow out there, so I'm not out there shooting bows. So this is actually kind of my X factor for winter of just like, I just look at my arrows and I'm like, I can't wait to shoot again. Although, thanks to you guys and gals, I didn't get to go hunting again last year because I was too effing busy. But anyway, so enough of that diatribe. So here we are on our final product in our line of folding saw pouches, and this is the big boy folding saw pouch. Now, as I said, like ad nauseum, this came about because a bunch of people were saying, hey, but what about this folding saw? I really like this, can you make one that fits this? So, I went out and bought one of these Agawa Canyon Boreal 21s. And this is a slightly different style folding saw. It's not quite like, like these other true folders. This guy actually kind of comes apart and goes back together and makes a traditional hand type of pole saw, and I actually used this quite a bit last year in some firewood processing on just a couple camping trips. Matter of fact, I think you see it in one of the videos that Spoon and I made last year using this guy. It's just a different type of tool, but as you can see, that's what the Bucksaw pouch is designed around, because this is more of a larger bucksaw. So that fits in here. Now I'm gonna kind of do a quick aside. And I may have already mentioned this, but I'm definitely going to do it here. And I think this is on the website. I don't remember if it is. I know that sounds horrible to say, but when Alex Messenger from Messenger Photography was like taking pictures for the website, again, having different props is always, you want to try to use pictures to, demonstrate what will fit in these products. And I think there's a picture there, you'll see some hiking poles. So if I haven't already said it, let me just use this as the opportunity. Yeah, these are designed around folding saws, but there's so many other pictures of customers on Instagram. I got to get more of this on the website. I kind of want to figure out a way just to have your pictures on some kind of like revolving system, where just kind of sharing what you guys are doing. But this fits the hiking poles, so, collapse them down. Now the basket on the bottom of your stick or your pole, you got to take that off. That's not going to fit in here. But the poles itself fit in here. Again, people have used like the folding saw pouch for condiments, for ketchup, mustard, sausage, whatever. So use your own imagination, right? We're kind of designing it around, in this case, this is a larger bucksaw. This is that, Agawa Canyon. But there's a whole bunch of other items that can go in here. And for example, that's what I'm doing. So, I don't have a quiver because that's not how I normally hunt. And then so, last year I was like, I got to just get out and start shooting more. And I'm like, I don't have let me rephrase it. I have a quiver, but it's just the bullshit kind of traditional, your indoor archery range quiver. And I just don't like it. And so wink, wink, nod, nod. So I just, what do I have? I'm going to improvise until I get something different, wink, wink, nod, nod. And then so I just put my arrows in here, and then I just put my rangefinder on one of the mollies on the outside. You don't really need to see it, but you get the point. So just like, the big boy, this is long enough. It's got the same thing. The retention flap is extra long, and then you've got a lot of webbing up on the retention webbing. So if you wanted to put longer items in here and still have the retention flap close over the top, you have that ability because, so here's how it is when it's closed. But this can come up almost another 2 to 3 inches, and then the strap. So you can still get a longer item in any one of these products, right? So again, I'm kind of just, I don't know, I keep coming in. I'm using mine right now for archery related products because I'm not outside cutting down firewood right now, making, a survival shelter, because truth be told, last week, we're just getting out of some like 30 below to 40 below nights. Everybody's already talking about, next week it's going to be in the 20s. It's going to be like, we'll all be walking around in shorts and flip flops. It's going to feel so warm. But then kind of going back to the Bucksaw pouch, same thing as the big boy on the back side. So I'll just kind of hold it up like this. Hopefully you can zoom in and see that stuff. Same thing, you've got MOLLE straps on the back, so you could either configure it so it could be worn over a belt, it could attach to a rucksack, it could go around the waistband of a rucksack, you know, the waist pad of a rucksack. You can attach it to other items. You still have the same, if I can get that in there. You still have the axe sleeve on the back, right? So you can put your camp axe in here. And because this is longer, you could actually carry even longer camp axes if that was your kind of thing. All right, I'm gonna pull out, you good?
Yep.
All right, and then down the bottom, just like, you know, over on the Bucksaw, or correction, the big boy, you've got the little kicker webbing so your axe handle doesn't go sloshing around. And then you've got that extra piece of webbing for a leg strap. If you desire to wear this around your waist, then you've got that leg strap to keep the whole product from moving around, you know, all, you know, nimbly bimbly or whatever you want to call it. And then just another point, if you're not using this, take it off, wrap up a jacket or a tarp, and then use this as a retention strap for a jacket or as a tarp. Maybe just put some 550 cord through there, you know, and then loop that around. So if you wanted to use it as a leg strap, there's your 550. And if you don't use it as a leg strap, there's always some extra 550 because you know as well as I do, you can always use 550 cord, right? So that'll just give you another little spot where you could put some additional material where you could store it for use if you absolutely need it in a pinch. And then again, up in the front, you've got 4 layers this time of, here, I'll get it like this so you can see it. You have 4 layers of webbing, so you can get even larger pouches up there. So if you wanted to put in, again, another medical pouch, a larger pouch, 2 single layer type of pouches, you've just got more anchor points that you can secure things to. Carabiners with gloves, you know, in this case, you know, I've just got a rangefinder on there. You could put a big knife up there if that's how you're gonna go, if you're gonna go with a knife saw kind of combo. Oh, I think that's what I forgot that we had in the first one that we kind of broke down. I was talking a little bit about some of the tools that you see out here in front. And again, this kind of actually goes to Carver that we were just talking about. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to save it a little bit for Carver. So, you know, you can look at different camp axes, and this isn't not picking on one company or the other. That's not the point. It's just a way of looking at each tool and processing it mentally and figuring out, do I want this or do I want that? Or, because we didn't do this, and I was just actually trying to show some examples of other things. Here, that'll be the good segue. I'm just going to show some examples of other items that you can put in the back sleeve area on any one of our folding saws. So what I was actually kind of getting at there in my little ramble, we had done this before. So, you know, this scout sleeve in the back is where it can go around your belt, or it's where you can put your camp axe if you so desire, right? But don't forget, it'll also fit other items. So as you go through your decision-making process on what you want to bring out with, you know, in your, you know, outdoor environment, because they're all very different, right? You know, like, you know, this is a very much different environment that it might be in an arid environment or a wet, you know, kind of jungle type environment. You know, a machete might be something that's more appropriate. You know, imagine trying to like cut down, like, you know, through brush with this guy, right? That's not the proper tool for it. Whereas a machete would be a more appropriate tool for your environment. But so just as I was kind of pointing out before, you know, this will fit in there. I can have this in here, and I could still have my camp axe, or correction, my folding saw in here for actually cutting trees and processing wood or building, you know, a raised platform or whatever the case may be. And this guy will fit in here, and he isn't going to come out, right? Or, you know, if you're making a decision like, do I want to carry a tomahawk? Because most tomahawks actually have, well, I shouldn't say most, but in this case, the tomahawk I have has a pounding surface on the back, right? Well, that could be good for putting in tent stakes, you know, putting, like if I'm gonna make wooden dowels and make my own type of, like, you know, wooden furniture, you know, it'd be good for pounding little dowels through holes that I'm drilling through, right? You know, not all axes have it, like Roselli actually has a small pounding surface on the back, but a lot of axes might only have the spine, which you could still pound with. You could still pound like this, but you know the deal, it's kind of a pain in the ass when you're trying to do that. So just kind of think about your tools. And then here's another one, wink, wink, nod, nod. You know, so you might want to bring a shovel with you, right? So again, depending on the environment you live in, you know, you might be concerned about, hey, I have to dig a slit trench, or, you know, because for, you know, to, you know, dispose of human waste, which is the right thing to do, right? Don't leave that stuff lying on the surface for somebody else to come stepping in, you know, 6 months later. It's still gross, even if it's just gross, right? Bury that stuff. Or you might end up digging an irrigation trench around your tent, which you should always do anyway, especially if you're in an environment where there's lots of rain. The worst thing is sleeping in the wet, you know, and the cold, right? So dig a little irrigation trench around, you know, whatever your structure is, unless you're sleeping in a hammock, right? Obviously with a rain fly. but then dig that, and then that way, any of that runoff, moves around your tent and doesn't come underneath your tent, and then slopping around you, right? There's all kinds of uses for a shovel. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So, whatever the tool is that you're going to put in your item, I guess what I'm really just trying to say is that sleeve in the back is designed for all of that, right? As long as it's a handled item, and the handle, as I just kind of mentioned earlier, if it's out of a dimension that you think is maybe a little bit too wazoo, give me a call. We'll figure out dimensionally wise if you're going to be able to fit it in there or not. All right. So that just shows you a bunch of the different tools that go in here. And I kind of wanted to do that because, as I just said a couple minutes ago, excuse me, we still have to reshoot the final part of Carver. And I don't know, maybe I will use these exact tools. I know I want to kind of look at, like a water bottle versus a canteen carrier. We might just do a couple examples when we reshoot Carver. So, we were talking about doing that other video on Thursday. We'll talk about that offline. So we'll either finish Carver this week or we'll do that next week. So, and then last but not least, right, not that you guys want to hear about, the internal machinations of Centerline Systems, like what video should we do next? I don't know. Well, actually, that's kind of funny because you guys are asking for it. A bunch of people have made comments like, hey, we want to see the shop. So the video I was thinking of shooting later this week was going to be inside the shop. So you can start getting a sense of, where it is that what we do, the materials we use, the shop, this isn't some giant, huge corporation. This is a small little operation and you'll see it, and quite proud of it. But so yeah, we're going to start doing that stuff, and that's what we're going to do this week. But now I realize I keep forgetting I owe one video on Carver. So I might just go back to that and we'll do the other one in the near future. But anyway, the last thing I wanted to end with, kind of along the same notes, which is a little bit of an internal thing. We're a small business. We're not buying cheap material from, China. This isn't Chinese labor. This is none of that stuff. And look, and I'm not picking on anybody. If that's your technique, and if you just want to buy $20 gear and then constantly repeat and keep buying it and support some other type of system, you do you. I get it, right? But we only use the best material that's out there. It's all handcrafted. I'm paying, my employees a real living wage, right? So there's a lot of work that goes into it. So I'm not saying that to complain. I'm just kind of saying because I get a lot of people like, hey, are you ever going to have a sale or, this, that, or the other? And the reality is like, we're just too small of a business. I can't afford to do that stuff. I mean, like, it just eats up and it takes away the already limited profit that you have. Matter of fact, my little running joke is if I was ever on Shark Tank and I had to open my books and they saw how much this costs to make and how much money they'd just laugh me off the show. They'd be like, you're an idiot, dude. Go back to working for the government. I'm like, I don't want to work for the government ever again. All right, long-winded way of saying there is something that we do. And then getting ready for this video, I found something that I had totally forgotten about. So when we shoot product pictures, whether it's here on video, like, now with Mighty Mouse or with Alex Messenger from Messenger Photography. So if I have to make a product and then we use it in the studio now these are all the ones I use, so I'm not selling any of these. But if we just use it just for a picture or just for an example or as a prop, I don't sell those as brand new because they're technically not brand new. We've touched them, right? We've put gear inside. They haven't been out in the woods. They haven't been out there being used for a week. So, I mean, they're brand new, but I never call them brand new and we don't sell them as such. So just to kind of let people know, and I'm going to start using this video format and social media to actually start talking about this more. So when I was actually pulling things out of my bins, I found two, these are the Bucksaw pouches. One's multicam black with multicam black webbing, and then the other one is just black with black webbing. These are brand new. They've only been in photo shoots. And so, hey, let's kind of, first, the joke earlier was, and we got sidetracked, and I got a little audience, we were like, bidding war, and everybody was chiming in. I'm like, no, we can't do a bidding war. But seriously, I'll easily give you like, $10, $15 off, something like that. So first, if anyone's interested, multicam black with multicam black webbing, and this is the Bucksaw pouch, right? This is the Agawa Canyon, and this is a Bucksaw pouch as well, black with black webbing. Hey, or if you just got a question, just reach out. So last week, a gentleman had a question on something, and I actually had I had a Scout in ATEX FGX from a video shoot, and I totally forgotten about that thing too. And I'm like, oh, hang on a second. He was looking for something else. I'm like, hey, I actually happen to have one in FGX sitting here right now. And he's like, I'll take it, gave him a discount, shipping. We make all this stuff as it's ordered by hand, so I don't have inventory. I'm not sitting on 10 mothers in multicam right now because there's a bunch of people who ordered so many different patterns and combinations before that next person who ordered multicam. So we just do those in the sequence they arrive. But I do have two of those Bucksaw pouches right now sitting. So if you are interested, reach out. First come, first serve, respond to this video. Matter of fact, yeah, however you want to do it. First people to respond to this video, or you know, if somebody calls me, you know, if I've got them, I got them, and if they're gone, they're gone. So don't ever, and I guess maybe that's a good way to segue out. As always with everything, don't ever hesitate to reach out. You know, phone call, email. Don't be the gentleman who called me this morning or this weekend at 6:20 something my time. That's maybe taking a little bit too far. You know, I know, I get it. Time zones are crazy things. God bless you, sir. But like 6:20, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. It's Saturday. I don't have to be to work until 9. You know. Anyway, it's just a fun way of saying I really appreciate everybody's feedback. I really don't mind the phone calls. 6:20 probably was a little extreme, you know, at least it wasn't 3 in the morning, right? That would have really sucked. 3 in the morning would have been horrible. So, but as always, reach out anytime. Phone call, email, text message, smoke screen or smoke signal, not procrastinations. I don't know where that came from. I'm still laughing about that comment.
Again, it's senility.
I just might be getting old and crazy, but reach out anytime. We'll do the best we can to help you out. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you're finding it informative, getting back into the videos, having fun. And as always, like I just said, reach out anytime. We'll do the best we can to help you out. All right, everybody, be good. Woo!